If I seem a little tired today, it's because I was up till 2 a.m. cracking up at this reel.
I got tacos. I always get the green sauce that has avocado in it. A little lemon.
Please don't tell anyone about my real personality. I know I can trust you guys. This episode is a little more politics heavy than pop, but we love a girl who can do both, am I right? Plus, these are all things I think you're really gonna wanna hear about.
Tell me about it, stud.
Number one, it isn't just some conservative hunch that the left is using children's shows and cartoons to push the LGBTQ agenda. Research proves it's true. To piggyback on the LGBTQ stuff, I also want to discuss a growing trend of teen girls announcing they're demisexual. ESPN's Rachel Nichols lost her job because she complained that a black person replaced her to help the network meet a diversity quota. And libs claim critical race theory isn't real, but Ibram X. Kendi is speaking at a National Teachers Union conference. I'm AlexClark, and this is POPlitics. One thing the left loves to do is push back on our arguments and act like we're Chicken Little claiming the sky is falling.
What is that? Is that LaCroix? Why is LaCroix falling out of the sky?
We keep being told that a little sprinkle here and there of a pro-LGBTQ worldview in a cartoon for kids is rare and necessary because kids desperately need to see that community represented. But get this, a new report by Entertainment Insider says the rise of gender-diverse representation isn't a coincidence. Shows created and run by queer women, trans, and non-binary showrunners are largely responsible for the influx of non-binary and trans characters in kids' animation.
He's his sister, then who is Mr. Radford marrying?
According to Insider, a left-wing publication, the LGBTQ lobby has actually spent years pushing this agenda even harder on kids. Between 2017 and 2019, there was a 222% increase in representations of LGBTQ identity. In 2019, a total of 74 newly debuted or confirmed LGBTQ characters made their way to the screen.
I was helping an elderly woman cross the street. Woo! That's my sister from a couple sisters.
What does all this mean? It means that when conservatives say, you know, it seems like it's a real concerted effort to push the LGBTQ agenda, we are correct. And this excuse we keep hearing that it needs to happen because there isn't enough representation is an outright invention by progressives in order to sexualize kids even further.
Once when I was 7 years old, I sat on a banana. And of course, that changed my life.
By the way, if you want a streaming service for your kids that you can trust that has faith-filled shows, try Yippee TV.
Oh, where, 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 oh, where is my hairbrush?
You know what's going to be the result of rising wokeness in schools? The majority of white teens identifying as random LGBTQ letters just so they can rise to the top of the social food chain and achieve peak victimhood status.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
It seems like every single teen identifies as something, and I have strongly believed from the get-go that it derives from a historical need from adolescents to fit in. Obviously, we know for a fact that representation and celebration in media are at an all-time high for members of the LGBTQ agenda. So it's not really crazy to connect the dots to teenagers wanting to be cool and different by following the trends to find a letter to identify themselves with. I mean, at this point, anything is better than being cis and white.
Oh, God, you're straight.
Take Governor Cuomo's daughter, Michaela, for example. She's not a teenager, but she is 23, which isn't too much older. And this week, she came out as demisexual after previously coming out as bisexual.
Baby, I'm sorry.
No, not that Demi. Do you know what the definition of a demisexual is? It is literally someone who's not sexually attracted to others outside a committed or potentially serious relationship. Okay, so normal, traditional, AKA what 99.99999% of women especially have wanted and desired for all of history?
What's wrong with being normal?
You know what this basically is? Someone who doesn't really want to have casual sex outside of a committed relationship. This isn't a sexual orientation, Michaela. You're not special.
You're a basic
Now you can't even be a normal girl. You have to make up sexual orientations and put them in a minority box just so you can be accepted for having completely average sexual preferences. At this rate, all trad conservative girls are now LGBTQ. That means you, Groiper chicks. I don't make the rules.
I'm gender fluid. Nip slip.
About a year ago, ESPN host Rachel Nichols, who is white, was having a private conversation where she complained that ESPN gave NBA Finals hosting duties last year to her colleague Maria Taylor and believes the color of Maria's skin has a lot to do with it because she's black and ESPN wanted to get some political clout and meet a diversity quota. By doing so, they took away from Rachel's position. Now, Rachel had no idea that she was being recorded and the video was just now released.
I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy one-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just, find it somewhere else. You're not gonna find it with me.
Now, ESPN is punishing Rachel by taking away her other position and giving that to a black woman too. According to the New York Post, the conversation, which had been heard by those who worked at ESPN, was not made public before now. The Times reported that several ESPN employees who are black said the conversation further cemented their belief that white people at the network who are supportive publicly do not act the same way in private.
Not next time! Yes, sir! Did you see anything? No, sir. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. Good!
Rachel Nichols, by the way, is a liberal. In that secretly recorded tape, she also called the suits at ESPN white Trump supporters and said, I basically finally just outworked everyone for so long that they had to recognize it. I don't want to then be a victim of them trying to play catch up for the same damage that affected me in the first place. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to just be nice. What in the world is so controversial or racist about anything she's saying? She's saying this network has a history of discriminating against women and black people. I worked my way up. Now my position is being given to a woman just because of the color of her skin. If they want to start adding more diversity, by all means, but don't take away from my success in the process. CUTEservatives of color, weigh in. What are your thoughts on this?
Having said that, I do have some thoughts.
I had to add this story in because it's just so ridiculous. New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim is donating the suit he wore during the Capitol riot to the Smithsonian. He tweeted that he was giving it to the institution because the events of January 6th must never be forgotten.
And the Oscar goes to...
I liked Cat Turd's response. I'm donating my litter box I was taking a dump in on January 6th to the Smithsonian.
How dare you do the litter box on me?
And we keep hearing that critical race theory is a myth cooked up by conservatives.
Critical race theory is not taught in elementary schools or middle schools or high schools.
But Ibram X. Kendi, one of the biggest people at the forefront of the fight to add critical race theory in schools and author of Anti-Racist Baby, just spoke yesterday at the Biden Education Department-backed American Federation of Teachers Conference.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Nope, I'm not. He did. By the way, did you know that Ibram X. Kendi's real name is just Henry Rogers? Major Sean King vibes here.
You're kind of sketchy.
All right, it's time to see what happened this week in pop culture history with a little pop culture rewind. This week in 1962, Andy Warhol's Campbell's Soup Cans exhibition opened at the Ferris Gallery in Los Angeles.
Oh, I used to eat it every day. I still do, so.
Then in 1981 this week, Donkey Kong, a video game created by Nintendo, was released featuring the debut of Mario.
Mr. Arcade, get him out of here!
He's playing Donkey Kong.
You like Donkey Kong, eh? Okay, big fella. It's the official tabletop version of Donkey Kong, and it looks, plays, and sounds the same.
Also, this same week in 1981, President Ronald Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor to become the first female member of the Supreme Court of the United States. I gotta play this whole little section because it's just so epic.
Most of the speculation is centered on the question of whether I would consider a woman to fill this first vacancy. As the press has accurately pointed out, during my campaign for the presidency, I made a commitment that one of my first appointments to the Supreme Court vacancy would be the most qualified woman that I could possibly find. Now, this is not to say that I would appoint a woman merely to do so. That would not be fair to women, nor to future generations of all Americans whose lives are so deeply affected by decisions of the court. Rather, I pledge to appoint a woman who meets the very high standards that I demand of all court appointees. I have identified such a person. So today, I'm pleased to announce that upon completion of all the necessary checks by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I will send to the Senate the nomination of Judge Sandra Day O'Connor of Arizona Court of Appeals for confirmation as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
It's amazing how that sentiment still rings so true today. And on a very different note, this week in 1999, American Pie came out in theaters.
Do you think she would prefer laid back Jim or cool hip Jim?
I don't think it really matters with that shirt that you're wearing.
That's what happened this week in pop culture history. New POPlitics merch is available on shoptpusa.com. If you haven't gotten your cinnamon roll culture sweatshirt, get them while you can. Shoptpusa.com, or of course you can hit the link in our bio. Heart this episode. What do you think about the Demisexual stuff and the ESPN scandal? Drop a comment. I like to see what you think. Share this episode with 3 friends who are definitely the girl at the beginning of this episode and hit that save button. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm AlexClark, and this is POPlitics. Click below to watch yesterday's episode. Please subscribe, thumbs up, share this video, and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss the CUTEservative. And make sure you're following this show at POPlitics on Instagram for even more CUTEservative content.